Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6, Prahlada instructs his demoniac schoolmates. Text number 14 onwards. Kutumba poshaya viyananiya nijayur na buddhyate artham vihatam pramata sarvatra tapatraya dukhitatma nirvidyate na swakutumba ramaha. One who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. He also fails to understand that the purpose of human life, a life suitable for realization of the absolute truth, is being imperceptibly spoiled. However, he is very cleverly attentive to seeing that not a single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Thus, although an attached person in material existence always suffers from threefold miseries, he does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. So not a single farthing is lost. I mean, that was Prabhupada's way of saying, because this is coming from British English, or here America, they say not a single penny is lost. Actually, farthing is not even equal to one penny. It's much less than one penny. But this is what British used to say. So anyway, it makes the point that this is what a person who's too attached to family life and material life, this is what he does. And this is how his whole life is spent. A foolish man does not understand the values of human life, nor does he understand how he is wasting his valuable life simply for the maintenance of his family members. He is expert in calculating the loss of pounds, shilling, and pence, but he is so foolish that he doesn't know how much money he is losing, even according to material considerations. Chanakya Pandit gives the example that a moment of life cannot be purchased in exchange for millions of dollars. A foolish person, however, wastes such a valuable life without knowing how much he is losing, even according to monetary calculations. Although a materialistic person is expert in calculating cost and doing business, he does not realize that he is using his costly life for want of knowledge. Even though such a materialistic person is always suffering threefold miseries, he is not intelligent enough to seize his materialistic way of life. That is Maya. That's a real control of Maya. And it's all everywhere. Everywhere it's the same story. Okay, here in America, okay, they don't save so much of money like we do, Indian bodies do. But problem is still the same. They're just wasting away time in trying to enjoy, trying to spend their hard-earned money. And in India or whatever, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and other countries, we try to save money. We have to have so much of money in our bank account or here or there. So it pays off for the old age and this or any emergencies. But what about the spiritual advancement? Nobody is doing. Nobody is interested in that. Just going once in a while to temple or church, it doesn't do it. It doesn't cut it. One has to develop the knowledge, study the scriptures, follow the instructions. But how many people are interested in that? And going to the temple on Monday to or Monday to Shiva, Lord Shiva temple, and Tuesday to Hanumanji, and Wednesday to this temple, that temple, Thursday to Lakshmi Devi, and Friday somewhere else, Saturday definitely Shani Dev. It's good, better than not going. I'm not condemning that, but it's not the purpose of life. It doesn't serve the purpose. Here they have built beautiful churches. Every church we go to, and there are so many churches. And every church, just a congregation, must have paid lots of money to first to build it and then to maintain it. But the churches are empty. The Lord is waiting, but hardly they go to churches. And even if they go, it's more or less like to socialize. That is terrible. And materialistic person, just we don't understand. And that, like Chanakya Pandit says, not a moment of life which is past. We can spend millions of dollars, we cannot get back. It's gone. It's gone forever. So much of time we waste. So much. Vitteshu nityabhinivishta cheta vidvansha dosham paravitta hartu pretye vatthapya jitendriyasta dashanta kamo harate kutumbi. If a person too attached to the duties of family maintenance is unable to control his senses, the core of his heart is immersed in how to accumulate money. Although he knows that one who takes the wealth of others will be punished by the law of the government and by the laws of Yamaraj after death, he continues cheating others to acquire money. At least Prahlad Maharaj says although he knows that one who takes the wealth of others will be punished by the laws of the government and by the laws of Yamaraj. Here, these days, people cheat others, cheat banks, cheat government, cheat parents, cheat brothers, cheat known, cheat anybody they would like to cheat just to make money, and they don't even care. There's government law or law of Yamaraj. Their only philosophy, it's not even philosophy, philosophy is who has seen what's going to happen after death? This is the time to somehow or other, whichever way, by hook or crook, make money and enjoy. Prabhupada says, especially in these days, people do not believe in next life or in the court of Yamaraj and the various punishments of the sinful. But at least one should know that one who cheats others to acquire money will be punished by the laws of the government. But they don't care for the laws of the government because they know by paying some bribes they can get away with everything. Nonetheless, people do not care about the laws of this life or those governing the next. Despite whatever knowledge one has, one cannot stop his sinful activities if he is unable to control his senses. This is the real dilemma, conundrum of life. One cannot stop his sinful activities unless if he's unable to control his senses. And senses is so difficult to control until we engage our senses in the service of the Lord. We cannot control them. There's no way. But still, people say we will take our chances. And what happens is, even if somebody cheats the other person, and he doesn't get punished right away, because Krishna's laws work differently. He still gives an opportunity for one to rectify himself. So the person who has cheated, he says, see, nothing happened, so I didn't cheat. I didn't do anything wrong. Well, the punishment is coming. It's on its way, until we rectify. So that's why many times people say, oh, Krishna, you say is omnipotent. So much of crime going on all over the world. Why doesn't he stop them? There are many reasons. One is karma theory is there, and secondly, it's the mercy of the Lord. He still gives us a chance to rectify. Sarva dharma mam ekam sharanam aham tvam sarva pape. Sarva pape. Not just one or two sinful reactions. Sarva pape moksha-shyami mashucha. That's the mercy. Vidvan titham danujah kutumbam pushnasvalokaya nakalpate van. Yasviya parakya vibhinna bhavas tamah prapadyet yatha vimulaha. Oh, my friends, sons of in this material world, even those who are apparently advanced in education, the propensity to consider this is mine and that is for others. Thus, they are always engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of family life, just like uneducated cats and dogs. They are unable to take to spiritual knowledge. Instead, they are bewildered and overcome by ignorance. If Prahlad Maharaj is heavy, and Prabhupada is even heavier. They're engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of family life, just like uneducated cats and dogs. And in the beginning, it was even those who are apparently advanced in education. See, if we are advanced in education, or if we have college or postgraduate or PhD or PhD, postdoctoral, whatever degrees we have, if the consideration is still, or thinking or activities are still on the body level, and this is what scriptures say, they're acting just like uneducated cats and dogs, or maybe sophisticated cats and dogs. They'll behave very sophisticatedly, but thinking is only on the body, on the level of body. In human society, there are attempts to educate the human being, but for animal society, there is no such system, nor are animals able to be educated. Therefore, animals and unintelligent men are called vimula, or ignorant, bewildered, whereas an educated man is called vidwan. The real vidwan is one who tries to understand his position within this material world. For example, when Sanatana Goswami submitted to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his first question, and this he was when he met Mahaprabhu in Banaras. His first question was, Keami, Keniyamaya Jare Tapatre. In other words, he wanted to know his constitutional position and why he was suffering from the threefold miseries of material existence. This is education. Of course, Sanatana Goswami being such a learned scholar, even before that in Ramkeli, him and Rupa Goswami, Anupam Goswami, they would discuss Bhagavatam in the presence of other Brahmins. But this was his humility when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is for saying, Kayami, who am I? I don't know who am I. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is further says, Sanatana Goswami says that everybody calls me a Pandit. But I don't know these answers to these questions. But these days, who is asking these questions? Nobody. So this is the process of education. If one does not ask, who am I? What is the goal of my life? But instead follows the same animal propensities as cats and dogs, what's the use of his education? As discussed in the previous verse, a living being is entrapped by his fruitive activities, exactly like a silkworm trapped in its own cocoon. Foolish persons are generally engaged by their fruitive activities, karma, because of a strong desire to enjoy this material world. Such attracted persons become involved in society, community, and nation and waste their time, not having profited from having obtained human forms. Especially in this age, Kali Yuga, great leaders, politicians, philosophers, and scientists are all engaged in foolish activities, thinking this is mine and this is yours. This is mine and this is yours. This knowledge is mine, that degree is mine, this house is mine, this country is mine, that is your country, so go to your country, don't come here, and here's a boundary line that is separating us. But this is all based on body. The Prabhupada used to say, just like if we go to a street, where in India, pretty much every street has street dogs, and we go to a street and they start barking. Why you have come here? Why you have come here? Go away, get out of here. This is my street. So human beings also, we have the same tendency. The scientists invent nuclear weapons and collaborate with the big leaders to protect the interests of their own nation or society. In this verse, however, it is clearly stated that despite this so-called advanced knowledge, they actually have the same mentality as cats and dogs. As cats and dogs and other animals, not knowing their true interest in life, become increasingly involved in ignorance. The so-called educated person who does not know his own self-interest or the true goal of life becomes increasingly involved in materialism. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj advises everyone to follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Specifically, at a certain point, one must give up family life and take to the renounced order of life to cultivate spiritual knowledge and thus become liberated. This is further discussed in the following verses. So spiritual knowledge, cultivation, and the practices, that is the most important activity. The rest, everything is on the level of animals. That's all it is. यतो न कश्चित् क्वच कुत्रचिद् वा दीनः स्वम् आत्मानं मलं समर्थः विमोचितुं कामदृशाम विहारः क्रीडां मृगो यन्नि गडो सर्गः ततो विदूरात् परिहृत्य दैत्येषु सङ्गं विषयात्मकेषु उपेत नारायणम् आदिदेवं स मुक्तसंज्ञैरर्चितोपवर्गः. My dear friends, O sons of the demons, it is certain that no one bereft of knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been able to liberate himself from material bondage at any time or in any country. Rather, those bereft of knowledge of the Lord are bound by the material laws. They're factually addicted to sense gratification and their target is women. Indeed, they're actually playthings in the hands of attractive women. Victimized by such a conception of life, they become surrounded by children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren, and thus they are shackled to material bondage. Those who are very much addicted to this conception of life are called demons. Demons means only interested in bodily concept of life, in the household life. And victimized by such a conception of life means to enjoy women or to enjoy opposite sex. They become surrounded by children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren, and thus they're shackled to material bondage. but they cannot think beyond that. They get more and more entangled. This is demon. So we can only see how much demoniac tendencies are there in our heart. Therefore, although you are sons of demons, keep aloof from such persons and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, the origin of all the demigods. Because the ultimate goal for the devotees of Narayan is liberation from the bondage of material existence. So we have to go from being demoniac to divine. So consciousness has to be changed. Prahlad Maharaj has maintained the philosophical point of view that one should give up the dark well of family life and go to the forest to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse also he stresses the same point. In the history of human society, no one at any time or any place has been liberated because of too much affection and attachment for his family. Even in those who are apparently very educated, the same family attachment is there. They cannot give up the association of their families, even in old age or invalidity, for they are attached to sense enjoyment. As we have several times discussed, Yanametunadi Grihimedi Sukham Tucham. So-called householders are simply attracted by sexual enjoyment. Thus they keep themselves shackled in family life. And furthermore, they want their children to be shackled in the same way. Playing the parts of playboys in the hands of women, they glide down to the darkest region of material existence. So glide down to the darkest regions of material existence means going to hell. That's all it is. And all the description of hell is there in the 5th canto. Because they are unable to control their senses, they continue a life of chewing the chewed and therefore descend to the darkest material regions. One should give up the association of such demons and adhere to the association of devotees. Thus one will be able to be liberated from material bondage. So, but Prabhupada said we have to adhere or take to the association of devotees. But devotees, the so-called devotees like us or like me, I can say, also have so many material desires. All these demonic tendencies are there, ingrained. Every square millimeter of the heart is full of these desires. And so it's so difficult to give up these desires, no matter how much we chant and study Bhagavatam. But this is the only process. This is the only process to make progress. Chanting, hearing, reading, service, association, prasadam. So we just have to carry on this thing, continue with this over and over again. Nahi achyutam prinayato bhavaya swasuratmajaha atmatvat sarvabhutanam siddhatvad iha sarvataha. My dear sons of demons, see, I like the way he addresses his friends. My asura atmaja, sons of demons. To his father, he addressed him as what? Oh, best of the demons. And to his friends, he says, oh, dear sons of demons. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, is the original Super Soul, the father of all living entities. Consequently, there are no impediments to pleasing him or worshipping him under any conditions, whether one be a child or an old man. The relationship between the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always a fact, and therefore there is no difficulty in pleasing the Lord. One may ask, one is certainly very attached to family life, but if one gives up family life to be attached to the service of the Lord, one must undergo the same endeavor and trouble. Therefore, what is the benefit of taking the trouble to engage in the service of the Lord? And Prabhupada said this is not a valid objection. So according to this question, it says activity is the same. Serving the family or serving the Lord. What's the difference? But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it should be understood that all species of life, a son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and I am the seed-giving father. The Supreme Lord Narayan is the seed-giving father of all living entities, because the living entities are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. As there is no difficulty in establishing the intimate relationship between a father and son, there is no difficulty in re-establishing the natural, intimate relationship between Narayan and the living entities. If one performs even very slight, very little devotional service, Narayan is always ready to save one from the greatest danger. The definite example is Ajamil. Ajamil separated himself from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by performing many sinful activities and was condemned by Yamaraj to be severely punished. But because at the time of death he chanted the name of Narayan, although he was calling not for the Supreme Lord, but for his son named Narayan, he was saved from the hands of Yamaraj. Therefore, pleasing Narayan does not require as much endeavor as pleasing one's family, community, and nation. We have seen important political leaders killed for a slight discrepancy in their behavior. Therefore, pleasing one's society, family, community, and nation is extremely difficult. Pleasing Narayan, however, is not at all difficult. It's very easy. And what does he ask? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Just give me that. I'll be happy. Of course, Jagannath ji likes to eat a lot. He eats chapan bhog every day. But that is different. He eats in the temple, definitely. Devotees prepare wonderful preparations for him. But at home, whatever we can offer, he's happy. One's duty is to revive one's relationship with Narayan. A slight endeavor in this direction will make the attempt successful. And whereas one will never be successful in pleasing his so-called family, society, and nation, even if one endeavors to sacrifice his life. The simple endeavor involved in devotion service of Shravanam Kirtan, hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord can make one successful in pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore bestowed his blessings by saying Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to Shri Krishna Sankirtan. If one wants to derive the actual benefit from this human form, he must take to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So that's the best service one can do, is to chant. Just chant, chant, chant. That's all we have to do. So anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Moshwinata.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, कभी-कभी बहुत डाउटफुल सिचुएशन मतलब कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन लगते हैं कि अगर रिनाउंस ऑर्डर ही फॉलो करना है, सो व्हाई गृहस्थाश्रम?
Because it's a safe ashram. If we really, because later on in this canto, Yudhishthira Maharaj will talk about the duties of different ashrams, different varnas and different ashrams, and in detail it discusses. So they will study how it's not easy to be brahmachari, vanprastha, or sannyasi. True brahmachari, vanprastha, and sannyasi. But in grihastha ashram, some relaxation is there. So one can, and still one can make progress. Very easily one can make progress. Especially for ladies, as it is mentioned. I mean, they should get married.
Yes, I understand. But like I see the other way. I feel like Grihasthacharis are even more mentally strong because they get the more practical experiences in their life. So they have a lot of responsibilities, and equally they are practicing bhakti by detaching themselves from the material enjoyments. So here in Grihasthashram, like one is getting more opportunities to handle situations, practical opportunities. On the other hand, definitely brahmacharya ashram or sannyas ashram, they are not going to that stage, like having relationships with family members and all. So isn't it more challenging being a grihasthachari and practicing detachment and with devotion?
See, all the ashrams are not very easy. Because to make progress spiritually, it's not at all easy. Brahmachari, sannyas ashram, vanprastha ashram means no sense gratification, none whatsoever. Whatever we see these days, it's a mixture. So don't go by that. The actual one. In grihastha ashram, some relaxation is there, yes. But at the same time, lots of responsibilities are there, work is there, and like you said, while taking care of the responsibilities, one has to make progress spiritually. It's not easy. But Krishna looks at our intent. What situation the person is in and how he is trying to make progress.
Yes, that is
ultimately it's in Krishna's hands.
right, Prabhuji. So I feel like it is so challenging because while doing your responsibility in Grihasthashram, you naturally tend to draw the attachment without you knowing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
on the other hand, you need to also keep that in mind that okay, you need to detach yourself because nothing is obviously permanent in this material world. So this is more challenging.
I always give one example, like in Brahmachari ashram. Okay, so there are in one room, sometimes there are 4 brahmacharis staying in one room, or 2, whatever the case may be. And suppose I have fight with my roommate, and then I complain to the authorities, and then they change my room. And sometimes, okay, I have problems in one temple, they can send me to another temple. But in Grihastha ashram, if I have fight with my wife, I have to still stay in the same room, same house, and carry on. That is difficult.
True.
So yeah, it's not any ashram is not easy. No, it would be wrong to say Grihastha is difficult or Brahmachari is difficult. They all are difficult.
Right, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So you all have a safe and wonderful day.
Hare
Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.